Apple's March event just happened and we saw a lot of new devices come out. We saw a very powerful Mac Studio, a new Studio display, an iPhone SE. I love to see the iPhone SE, the new one, each time they come out. We saw some new colors, some updates to Apple TV Plus. Lots to dig through. Jason Cipriani's here with me. We're just going to kind of go through the highlights, Jason. I think we should start with the Mac Studio. It is completely designed for people who need a very powerful Mac.
That's exactly what it is. It's a very tall Mac Mini. So if you've seen that before, it kind of looks like a bigger version of the Apple TV, but this one is like 4 inches tall, the Mac Studio is. And all of that makes space for a new cooling system and some fans for the new M1 Ultra Apple Silicon processor, which is, by Apple's words, extremely powerful. And in the numbers they were throwing out yesterday, it's even more powerful than the Mac Pro, which is always their top end model. You could, I think,
Right.
$57,000 computer if you max it out completely. And this M1 Ultra chip is basically two M1 Max chips put together, which,
Yeah.
like Legos, I guess. It's not
Yeah.
that simple, but I don't understand how they do it. It's not just a firmware thing. It literally is two processors linked together physically and in firmware to create this massively powerful Mac Studio. So there's actually two different models they announced as far as configurations go, not models, configurations. It starts at $2,000, which isn't bad. You get an M1 Max chip in it. That's plenty powerful. That's what's in the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro now, the high-end versions of that. But for $4,000, you get one with that M1 Ultra chip in it. And if their numbers are right, it is going to be an extremely powerful Mac computer that is designed for people who spend a lot of time editing photos and videos and doing 3D renderings and CAD and 3D animation and all that stuff. I think it has a total of 6 Thunderbolt 4 ports. It has an SD card slot on the front. And yeah, it just looks like a beast of a computer that, Intel and Apple used to be really good friends, and it's very obvious the entire time Apple was, looking the other way. We've all seen that meme where the guy's looking
Yeah.
at the girl behind him as she walks away. That's what Apple's been doing the whole time at its own chip fab, and we've seen them do quite a bit here in the last year and a half.
Yeah. So as someone who does edit videos, I went from the Intel on a Pro, their most their most powerful Pro laptop that I could get. And then I got I got an M1 Air, and I thought, we'll see. I don't use the Intel.
Yeah.
The Air, even though a lot of the Creative Cloud is not optimized for M1 yet, still completely blows Intel out of the water. So the idea of and I'm just on M1, like, and then going to the Ultra, or just even the Max, just watching those numbers yesterday, I cannot envision, I can't fathom how fast and how powerful that machine is going to be, because I really like this M1. It does a fantastic job for me. So I don't know. They completely blow Intel out of the water. They
Right.
broke up with Intel and just completely ran.
Yeah, it's crazy. So only the Mac Pro is left running Intel, and then there's also a Mac Mini as well that is left running Intel. So there's 2 models left out of the entire lineup. The 27-inch iMac is gone now, and we'll get to why here in just a minute. But let me run down some nerdy stats of the M1 Ultra for those who care, just to kind of blow your minds a little bit. M1 Ultra has a 20-core CPU with 16 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, a 48-core GPU, a 32-core neural engine. Let's see, it can go up to a 64-core GPU with a 32-core neural engine, and you can configure it between 64 gigabytes of memory or 128 gigabytes of memory. I have some computers here with 32 gigs of memory, and I don't even come close to using that. 128 gigs of memory, just insane. 8 terabytes max storage. So I think if you maxed out the Mac Studio with all the specs and all that stuff I just ran down, it's $7,999. So $8,000 is what you're looking at, compared to the Mac Pro, which now is slower than this computer, which is maxed out was at like $57,000. Insane, the amount of
Yeah.
performance. And Apple hasn't lied about the performance these chips get so far. We've
No.
released three now, and their numbers have been spot on every time. So we have no reason not to believe them about the Mac Studio. Just what? I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say.
No, yeah. I wondered what they would do next, and fusing two chips together to make an ultra chip was never something I considered them doing. Um, so
Yeah.
they made this super powerful computer, but they also brought along the studio display and completely just made it as powerful to match. Let's go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so the studio display was something that we've kind of heard rumored off and on for the last couple of years. And then I would say within 3 days of the event, the rumors really took off. A YouTuber, and I'm forgetting his name right now, leaked the name actually of Mac Studio and the studio display. Someone who had zero previous track record of leaking any Apple products, and he nailed it. And he nailed the design. He had renders in his video. I apologize, I can't remember the name.
Wow.
But so the studio display is 27-inch 5K display. It doesn't have ProMotion, so it doesn't scale up to 120 hertz. It's Thunderbolt. But what is kind of cool about this is it actually inside of it, it's running the A13 Bionic processor. So it has the same processor in it that the iPhone 11 used and still uses. It's still in Apple's lineup uh, to power all of the software features that come along with this display. And in particular, there's a front-facing 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera on it that has Apple's center stage feature, which keeps you in frame as you move around. There is a whole bunch of speakers. I don't even remember how many. I think it's 6 speakers.
I think it was
Supposedly,
6. Yeah.
yeah, supposedly has really good audio quality. So it has a ton of other stuff to it other than just being a display you plug your computer into. And it's built specifically for Macs, and it will work with some iPads as well. From what I understand, you could plug a PC into it, but you lose out on like the center stage camera features or the camera as a whole. But who knows what else Apple has planned? A13 Bionic is a powerful processor, and
Mhm.
just to run one single camera feature, I don't know. Maybe there's something else going on there.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was kind of setting it up to maybe do a little bit more. But nonetheless, the 5K resolution that really stood out to me as a video editor. I think that will be fantastic, especially if you hook it up and just completely max out um, the Mac Studio. I think it'll be insane what the two of them together can do. So kind of moving away from what's on your desk, the iPhone SE, it's always a super affordable option that iPhone likes to do. A lot of flagship companies have started kind of releasing something similar to the iPhone SE, but they did something a little bit different. This iPhone SE is actually super powerful.
Yeah, so I think this is part of, so what they did is they added the A15 Bionic chip, which is the same processor that's in the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. And along with that, 5G is now involved as well. And to be clear, it's sub-6 5G, which is the slightly better than 4G LTE speed-wise 5G.
Mhm.
It doesn't have millimeter wave, which is the 2 gig per second if you're in the right spot type of 5G connection. But still, I think the reason the A15 was used is for that 5G connection, even though the iPhone 12 and the A14 Bionic had it as well. This is a way of future-proofing someone's investment at $429 for a
Mhm.
phone that looks exactly like the iPhone 8 with a home button, 4.7-inch display, still has the same 12 megapixel camera, although the image signal processor, the ISP of the A15 Bionic, is going to increase the image quality and the video quality of that same 12 megapixel sensor that's been in the iPhone SE previously released 2 years ago. So it's a third generation model. The price went up $30 from the normal $399 price point. We didn't see them double storage like had been rumored. So it still starts at 64 gigs, which is not quite enough.
Yeah, not
But
much.
although if you're buying an entry level phone, it might be enough for you. You can get 128 all the way up to 256 gigs of storage. I think it's like $50 per increment from there. But This phone's interesting to me in so many ways. It's just because it is affordable, and in
Mhm.
emerging markets, it's something that customers can afford and are willing to look towards. And but here at home in the US, this gives like teens and tweens a good for parents of those kids a first option for an iPhone, and also for like fleets. If you're managing fleets of employees and you just need them to have a phone and your system uses iOS apps or whatever it is, these are very affordable options. The iPhone SE is a very affordable option to give those employees.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the SE is just a great affordable phone overall, especially for the people who just use their phones for like social media, texting, calling, and maybe snapping a few pictures. Like my husband's not doing a whole bunch on his phone. Does he really need the 13 Pro, or can we get away with the SE? I think he could probably get away with an SE. Like I just think there are a lot of people who aren't totally using everything in a 13 Pro, that this offers, and it's the same exact chip. You're getting the same power.
Arguably, because it's a smaller display with a lower resolution, depending on how Apple tuned it, performance could be better on the SE.
True.
We'll
Hmm.
have to wait and see until these, once these phones get in people's hands and reviews start coming out, what performance is really like. But on paper, it makes sense that it may be a little faster. Point is, you're not going to have less experience on the iPhone SE, even though it's
No.
half the price of an iPhone 13 Pro, or even the iPhone 13. So, you're saving a lot of money and you're getting a good experience, especially if you still want that home button and you don't like Face ID. You use your fingerprint to unlock, and it's a little easier for some people to get around.
Hmm. No, I think Apple knocked it out of the park with all of these devices and a few others. As always, to make it super simple for you, we have everything linked down below. Some more coverage for a little more in-depth knowledge. There were a couple other things released that we didn't get to, so be sure to check that out. And we've got links to the pre-order as well. Jason, thank you so much for breaking this down for us. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to stick with ZDNet for all things iPhone and tech.